The Last of Us Part 1 was an amazing game, full of emotions like happiness, sadness, and tons of fear.
That don't sound good.
But the plot wasn't that bad. So today we're going to be tackling The Last of Us Part 2, not only for its Game of the Year winning story, but also because I'm looking for more of a challenge. More specifically, the grounded and permadeath modes, and also the no return section, which, let me tell you, has been a journey. So with the 41 trophies to stand between me and that sweet platinum trophy, let's get right into it. Welcome to The Last of Us Part 2's Platinum playthrough. The game starts off with Joel admitting to Tommy what happened after the Firefly incident from the first game. But this recap seems a lot bloodier and more gruesome compared to what I witnessed. Shocked by those events, Tommy drops the conversation and wants to head back to Jackson, in which Joel agrees to as well. Whilst riding on horseback, we get to see an early look into how incredible this game looks, and we aren't even 5 minutes into it. Wow, what a view that is. After arriving at Jackson, Joel heads back into town as we then fast forward to later that night where he pays Ellie a visit. The two of them act very awkward around each other for reasons due to the events of the first game, but he breaks the awkwardness by giving Ellie a guitar. He promised to teach her, so he shows her a thing or two by playing a song for her. It softens the mood a bit, but things still seem uneasy, so Joel says goodnight and leaves Ellie.
Good night, kiddo.
We then return 4 years later where a 19-year-old Ellie wakes from her sleep. Apparently, Ellie got up to no good last night with a girl called Dina, Jesse's ex, which he ain't happy with. But he's only kidding, so he fools Ellie and tells her to get dressed.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
But not before spotting some recognizable characters. Ah, Naughty Dog, you do love your Easter eggs, don't you? We head into town as we see the various workers of the community doing their day-to-day jobs, including this familiar pup. No trophy this time, but you gotta give him a good old scratch, don't you? We head into a bar where we bump into Maria and this bartender called Seth, who apologizes to her from what happened last night, which we'll find out what happened later. He gives us some delicious steak sandwiches for our journey, and we leave to go find Dina, who is currently getting absolutely annihilated by some snowballing throwing kids. So we decide to give her a hand. Spoiler, I win very easily, by the way.
No fair. Eat it, shrimps.
So after that well-fought victory, we collect our horses and ride out. We then cut to a different group of survivors who are resting, apart from these guys named Abby and Owen. He says that he has something to show her, so they head on out into the snowy wilderness. Shocked to see how big Jackson is, they mention that they are looking for someone who could be inside. But then after learning of Owen's partner Mel being pregnant, this sets Abby off. Almost like she's jealous or something like that. As Owen leaves, she proceeds to check out the nearby outpost by herself, looking for this individual, but she seems to run into a ton of infected. Well, dead ones, you know, frozen by the blizzard. Ah, you bastard. Okay, maybe not all of them are dead. After brawling our way through some more infected, since Abby is just built different, we cut back to Ellie and Dina making their way to the lookout that they are checking in at, but not before taking in some breathtaking sights. They check in upstairs and shortly after scope out the next lookout, but whilst on their way, they run into a half-devoured moose. Oh, that is gross. Looks like there are some more infected nearby, so we gotta go clean them out. After taking out a few more of them, we come to our first safe of the game. These have 6-digit combinations that you have to find in the nearby area, and they are all different to one another. So this first one was this Good Boys Employee of the Month award. So then after inputting the combination, you'll get various types of scrap, ammo and supplements. Supplements can be used to upgrade a variety of skills, and after upgrading one, we get our first trophy of the game, which is Apprentice. We then run into our first set of clickers in the game, and because I honed my amazing skills from the first game, they weren't that much trouble to kill. Oh, how I can't wait to do this on grounded mode. After being caught in a snowstorm, the two of them bunker down in a nearby library, which, although abandoned, it belonged to someone called Eugene, a member of Jackson, but also an ex-Firefly. We get the power back up and running, which powers up a nearby workbench. This is where you can add upgrades to your weapons using the scrap you find. So just like the first trophy, after applying my first upgrade, I got the Tinkerer trophy. We then discover a hidden room underneath the floorboards, and my only reaction is, damn, that is a lot of weed. Eugene was a busy man. Luckily for the girls though,
Of the wolf.
he had some joints stored away for a rainy day. So what better thing to do during a zombie apocalypse? Well, to get high. As expected, this sparks some feelings in both of them, so they decide to get busy themselves. We will just leave them to it, shall we? Back to Abby, as she is also getting her adrenaline going, but as a result of a swarm of infected chasing her down. Narrowly squeezing her way by and getting jumped on by another infected, she gets saved just in the nick of time by some friendly faces, so I think it's time to run now. They barricade their way in, and after telling Abby their names, her reaction gives off a very surprised look. Maybe she's still freaked out about earlier. It's probably nothing. Once again, back to Ellie and Dina as they catch their breath after falling around. But all is not okay. Jesse catches them and isn't too happy since Tommy and Joel never showed up to their post. So then the three of them agree to split up and cover more area to find them. Back again to Abby, Joel and Tommy, where they make it to her hideout where the rest of her group tackle the infected horde. What a Molotov throw by Owen. They shelter down as they introduce themselves to the group, and just like Abby, Joel's name seems to be of some interest.
Like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
As Joel writhes in pain from the shotgun wound, we learn that Joel was the person that Abby was trying to find. For reasons that I could reveal now, but it's better if I leave it till later. Whilst this confrontation is going down, Ellie isn't too far behind since she spots the crispy infected, so she sneaks her way in. Hearing the painful screams and moans from Joel, Ellie finds him defenseless and brutalized as she gets pinned down by the rest of the group. Help us to save him. Unsure if more of the town are planning to show up, the group finish what they were here to do and, well, you can guess what happens.
Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No!
So at first I thought, shit, Joel's dead within like the first 2 hours of the game. But we do see Joel later in the game for some flashbacks, which did bring some tears to me. So for whatever reason Abby has for doing this, I'm definitely intrigued to find out what's happened. We then see a heartbroken and soul-crushed Ellie as Tommy brings her some food since she clearly isn't doing very well. He tries to persuade her that getting revenge would require many people and would leave Jackson vulnerable, but she doesn't care about that and just insists on leaving come the morning. We then see her mourning over Joel's grave. Just look at how destroyed she looks. But before heading out, she wants to pick something up from his house, so they slowly head on. She finds a few of Joel's belongings, along with a framed picture of him and his daughter. This is quite sweet actually, since he wanted nothing to do with it in the first place, but because of the relationship that he grew with Ellie in the first game, it was worth keeping. She collects his broken watch and revolver before heading downstairs to find Maria holding a letter from Tommy. Apparently he is set out to find Abby himself and has ordered Maria to prevent Ellie from leaving. But we all know what Ellie's like. She's going either way, and Dina's joining her. Maria gives in but reminds Ellie to bring her dumbass husband back in one piece. So the two of them set out on their biggest journey yet. Starting day one in Seattle, where we start off on a good note. A trophy to be precise. Whilst riding through the overgrown wilderness, we come across our 5th trading card collectible, which popped the starter set trophy. These can be very well hidden and we need all of them for another trophy later on, so I'll have to keep an eye out. Spotting a building in the background called the Saravina Hotel, we know that's our path forward, but unfortunately it's blocked by a gate that requires a working generator to power, so we gotta go find some fuel. Where is that, you might ask? Somewhere in this massive open area. Great. Game, you're very lucky that I like exploring, alright? So after finding this map earlier, we can use this to explore many different buildings for collectibles, salvage, and more importantly, some fuel. First of all, we find an infected-ridden bank, which we clear out without any problems whatsoever. It's a good start for me. We find the correct code for this vault and grab ourselves a nifty-looking shotgun. But that's not all. Tucked away in a box, I found a ring that says Sic Parvis Magna on it. If you know what that means, I have nothing but the greatest of respect of you. I also got the So Great and Small trophy too. Next up, we get swarmed by even more infected in this flooded car park. But now with this new firepower, we make quick work of them and end up finding a fuel canister, but with no fuel to accompany it. At least we're halfway done, technically. In fact, it's not long after that we do manage to find some fuel. So we get the canister filled up and get ready to head out.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But before that, make sure you visit every explorable location on your map. There are 10 in total, and once you find the 10th location, you'll unlock the Sightseer trophy. We load up the fuel and power up the gate so we can reach the WLF building, which of course is filled with more infected. So with some great teamwork from Dina, we take them out and then head upstairs. Finding 2 soldiers who appear to have been killed by Tommy. As we can see, he used the same method for interrogating them, just like Joel did in the first game. So that's where he learned it from. Clearly on the right trail, we head further up but unfortunately get caught in one of the wolf's traps. Unable to move, Shimmer gets put down and shortly after, Ellie gets knocked unconscious. Well, that went well, didn't it? We wake up to see a happy familiar face, where Jordan tries to interrogate us, but we ain't saying shit to him. This horse-killing douche, on the other hand, doesn't care either way and has orders to kill us. Dina then snipes him from above before he can shoot us, but she takes a hard fall in the process. Jordan goes to strangle Dina, but Ellie manages to cut herself free and kills him with a couple of gruesome neck stabs. Not knowing where we are, all we can do is fight our way through the wolf soldiers, who are now trying to hunt us down. But we were able to slip by them and escape. After making it out, Dina reads a letter explaining that some of them are posted up at a TV station, which isn't too far from here, so that is our next plan of action. The girls spot the TV station as they get closer to it, but they have a new problem to deal with. Great, trip mines. Yep, I'm definitely going to run into at least one of these. We managed to find another dead horse with a satchel and the letter J imprinted on it, meaning it was Tommy's. Now, although we saw that half-eaten moose earlier, Dina starts throwing up at the sight of it. Weird.
Stop.
Shit, told you that was going to happen. Carefully, we maneuver our way past this minefield upon finding another workbench, and since we got a lot of scrap to use, we get the Mechanist trophy for fully upgrading our pistol. Nice. We finally make it to the TV station as we see more dead wolf soldiers by the hands of Tommy. Unfortunately, we are too slow as we also find Leah's body riddled with arrows. Well, at least that's one down, but we didn't even have to do anything. Ellie finds a bunch of pictures of the whole entire group, including one of Abby. They can't stick around for long though, as the nearby radio informs them that wolves are inbound. So we hightail it away as we block ourselves in this underground tunnel. But maybe that wasn't a great idea, as there are more of them looking for us down here anyway. Don't worry though, since there are also some clickers hanging around, so I introduce the two groups and leave them to it. The girls navigate their way through some vents trying to stay out of trouble, to then see this happen. So, these are shamblers, which when they explode, they release some deadly acidic spores, so as much as Ellie may be immune to the virus, she ain't surviving that. Luckily, they ain't the fastest, so a Molotov and a few well-hit shots put these guys down. Thinking they have escaped the worst of it, they attract a whole horde of infected, and in the process, Ellie manages to break her mask. So this kind of proves to Dina that Ellie's immune story is actually real. Agreeing to talk about it later, the two of them narrowly make it out alive as they then shelter down in a nearby theatre. Now, Ellie doesn't seem too sure of what is wrong with Dina since she's been acting very off recently. But turns out that Dina is actually pregnant with Jesse's baby, so this explains all of the stomach pains and the tiredness that she's been having. Needing time to take this news in, Ellie chooses to explore the theatre, making sure it's clear of any unwanted company. She does find an old radio that needs some power, so we find the electrified body that caused this power outage and in the end get it back up and working. Still unable to actually get the radio working properly, she does find a set of keys. That was quite lucky that she did that. She checks out the staging area where she finds a guitar where she practices more of her stringing skills, since she deserves some time to escape from this dead world. We then flash back for the first time 3 years earlier to her and Joel out and about in the wilderness. Joel apparently has a surprise for her, seeing that it's her birthday. Although he doesn't make the journey easy for her, don't worry though, she gets her well-deserved payback. Turns out though, Ellie loves dinosaurs and she spots this statue of a scary looking T-Rex and can't wait to climb it. Well, wouldn't have been the first thing that I do, but hey, you only live once, I guess. That ain't the only surprise though. Joel's brought her to a museum and it's just full of them. But of course, Joel has to look the part, right? Ellie finds a safari hat and although it suits her, I think Joel rocks it just as well. See, it looks good on you. To top it off, Ellie finds the space shuttle, which she and Joel climb into, and he gives her a recording of a rocket launch, which she starts to imagine if she was really there. It's kind of a nice change of pace compared to all the shit that they've experienced previously. Okay, now back to reality, specifically Seattle Day 2, as Ellie wakes after a well-needed rest and goes to find Dina. She heads back upstairs to a not-so-nice sight. Ugh. The puking Dina, I didn't mean you. Dina's got the radio working and some chatter informs them of a sighting of a lone male trespasser, meaning that is Tommy, somewhere out in a place called Hillcrest. Ellie chooses to go alone, since Dina obviously isn't in the right state of health to go anywhere. Anyway, whilst exploring though, I did manage to pick up enough supplements to upgrade the entire stealth tree, which this gave me the specialist trophy. As Ellie presses on, she gets grabbed by an unknown guy, so thinking, oh, it's Tommy. Wait, Jesse? What the hell are you doing here? So what you're saying is that he snuck out to help the girls, but we come to rescue you. It's funny how things turned out. The two of them manage to steal a vehicle so they can bolt, and after a few close calls with some bloodthirsty clickers, they make it back to the theatre, which cheers Dina up a bit. Ellie leaves the two of them to catch up, as we then flash back again 2 years earlier, where Tommy is giving a young Ellie some rifle practice. May I say with some amazing shooting on my end. The both of them head back to a nearby cabin where Joel is waiting for them. Needing some new guitar strings, Joel and Ellie head to a music place where they find a bunch more infected instead. It's not a problem for them though. Maybe squeezing through here might be a bit quieter. well, shit. A bloater? Now, Ellie may be older and better armed compared to the last time that she fought one of these, but she still isn't a match for it, as Joel jumps in to save her and takes it down. Yes, Joel, you are the man. God damn. Right, now that that's taken care of, they continue on and find two corpses laying next to each other. Ellie recognizes them as a couple that left the group about a year ago, finding a letter explaining that the both of them got bitten and that they were going to take their own life instead of turning. This then sparks Ellie to bring up the whole immune conversation again. Oh no, here we go again. Still unsure on Joel's explanation of what happened that night, he sticks with his story. Lie. And drops the conversation. Come on, you have to tell her the truth at some point. Back to the present day, as Dina is stitching up a wounded Ellie, she informs her of another close friend of Abby's, that being Nora, at a hospital not far from them. Ellie insists on going by herself, so she isn't too late and doesn't miss her. Ellie finds herself in some sort of overgrown park, hearing some faint whistling from somewhere. I don't like where this is going. Let's just try and get out of here quickly. Now, these guys don't look like wolves, so they must be the scars that were mentioned earlier in the game. Well, whoever they are, I do not want to be on the end of another arrow. So let's try and slip by unnoticed, shall we? Maybe not, but at least Ellie is quicker to dodge this guy's hammer swings. Leaving the scars, Ellie finally arrives at the hospital and chooses the underwater route to sneak in unseen. This works out since she manages to get this jump on this woman. She pries for information about Nora's whereabouts. She doesn't comply, so Ellie has no option but to silence her. Well, looks like she ain't going to be finishing her PSP game, sadly. So, as you guessed, we stealth our way past the many wolf soldiers who are doing their daily rounds. We then manage to spot Nora being asked questions about Abby, since she had recently snuck out, and apparently Nora knows of that, but she drops the conversation and walks away. That's good for Ellie though, since she gets the jump on her and holds her at gunpoint. Nora recognizes Ellie, and she tries to reason with her since they could have actually killed Ellie that night, but chose not to. She then switches it up and taunts Ellie of being proud of what they did to Joel, which, you know, sets Ellie off, and Nora manages to get away. We then corner her, and since we all know Ellie don't give two F's about the spores, the two of them fall through, but Nora manages to get away again. But before we catch up to her, we have another reunion between the soldiers and some clickers. I love it when I don't have to do anything in these situations, and I can just let the chaos unfold in front of me. Catching up to a sick and powerless Nora, she now realizes who Ellie is, since she is showing off her immunity by breathing in the spores. Seeing as Nora is pretty solid with not giving up her friends, we see the very first instant of a much darker side from Ellie. While the lighting and music definitely help make this scene a lot eviler looking, she returns home with a massive shift in how she is feeling, as you can clearly tell by her body language and her facial expressions. Yes, she has killed people before, but this time things were very different. Flashing back 2 years earlier again, we are in a very familiar place as Ellie explores the old Firefly base, clearly looking for some answers of that night. She finds a voice recording where she learns of the truth about how they would be lucky if they found another immune, and that the only person that can make a vaccine is dead. As she replays the recording over and over, Joel finds her, and whilst trying to comfort her, all Ellie wants is the truth, and threatens him that if he lies again, then she is gone. Fighting every voice in his head, he caves and tells her that she would have died if he hadn't have stopped them. Realizing that she could have been the reason for curing millions of people, she breaks down. I did talk about this briefly in my part 1 video, but this kind of weight put on her would destroy her. Knowing that she was unable to change this outcome even at the time, she says that she is done with Joel and walks away. On to the third day in Seattle, a scratched and sore Ellie awakens and goes to talk to Jesse, who has caught onto the fact that Dina is pregnant. Wanting to take her back to get help, the two of them come to an agreement of finding Tommy first. So the two of them leave Dina and head out to find him. They then spot a distant Ferris wheel in the background, since Abby is apparently hiding in some sort of an aquarium. But then, with the way blocked with the rapids, they spot a boat that could be very helpful for them. They find the crew that have the boat spare for us to steal, and although Jesse is here to find Tommy, Ellie just can't sway herself from making Abby her priority. Now, since Jesse only cares about Tommy's safety and not about Abby, they choose to split ways. Being a bit too selfish, are we now, Ellie? Reaching open water, the storm is just too fierce as the waves take out the boat and send Ellie under the water. Though not too far from the pier though, so she is able to reach it before being drowned. She finds her way into the aquarium, and it's very dark and gloomy inside. Hearing some voices, she finds Owen and Mel arguing about something, but Ellie shows her presence and asks for Abby. Taking a play out of Joel's book, she orders Mel to point to the correct location of where Abby is, soon to then ask Owen the same. Hesitating at first, Ellie lets her guard down as they both try to overpower her, leading to a bullet through Owen and then a brutal neck stab to Mel. But that's not the worst thing. Stunned at the sight of a pregnant Mel, Tommy and Jesse finally arrive to comfort Ellie and to get out. Man, imagine if that was Dina in that situation. Not really sure how Ellie would have coped with that, to be honest. Back at the theatre, Tommy and Jesse are trying to plan their route back home, and although Abby is still alive, Ellie does accept this, since I think we can all say she's done enough to make her point. As Tommy leaves, Ellie thanks Jesse for saving her, but then they hear some noises from Tommy's direction. They rush to see what's happening, which ends up in Jesse being killed, which, who could have guessed it, Abby is here to get her revenge again. She tries to plead for Tommy's life, but from previous events, I don't think Abby is going to let you walk away from this one, Ellie.
You killed my friends. We let you both live, and you wasted it.
Now, here's where the game switches up a bit. After roughly about 10 hours of playing, we now get to play through Abby's side of the story. Now, by this point, I wasn't really looking forward to playing as Abby, you know, for obvious reasons. But her story is much deeper than you'd first assume. So, we start off with a much younger Abby as she goes off looking for her dad, Jerry, since he has run off to tend to more important matters, that being this hurt and distressed zebra. Being a doctor himself, he must help her, so he cuts her free as then she is reunited with her baby. After Owen joining the two, he describes a girl of Ellie's description to the doctor, as we can see him speaking to Marlene about Ellie's procedure. Wait a second. Jerry is a doctor and also Abby's dad? Hearing him talking about the surgery to Marlene? This all seems very similar. Oh shit. Joel, you done messed up, mate. Anyway, the two of them agree to proceed with the operation, although Jerry isn't too happy knowing the outcome, but Abby assures him that if it was her in this situation, then she would want him to do it. Then fast forwarding to a heartbroken Abby as she sees her dead father laying from the aftermath of Joel's actions. So we now understand her actions towards him at the start of the game. She may have seemed like an evil bitch at first, but I kind of feel for her a bit since Joel was the main cause of all of these problems. Okay, we don't need to see this scene again, Abby. Come on, wake up. Now with present day Abby awake, she's joined with Manny as they make their way through the main wolf base. Oh, burritos are on the menu. Yep, I'll take that, thank you. Heading up to her room to grab her belongings, turns out Mel is also joining them on their journey to head out to one of the other outposts. So just a quick thing to clear up, Mel is pregnant with Owen's baby, and then Abby and Owen were previously a couple. Yeah, you can imagine how awkward things are between the two. Now, you thought that Jackson was impressive. Get a load of this place. It's massive. No wonder the wolves have so much manpower. Well, before heading out, we got to see how Abby is with a weapon. Mainly because if you beat Manny in their shooting contest, which I wiped the floor with him, by the way, I got the sharpshooter trophy. As they head out, Abby and Mel try to spark a conversation, but they get ambushed by a bunch of scars, and with not enough firepower to overcome them all, their vehicle gets shot to shit, so they gotta go on foot. They do manage to lose them, but remember, scars ain't the only obstacles that they will run into. Now, one of the things that they did right with this is that Ellie and Abby both have different weapons, upgradable skills, and their combat gameplay is also different, so that you don't feel like you're playing the same way you just have been for the past 10 hours. Thank God they did that. Otherwise, I reckon the gameplay would have got very stale very quickly for a lot of people. The other difference are the collectibles, since Abby is more interested in finding these old American coins since her dad used to collect them. So once I found my 5th coin, I got the mint condition trophy. So just like Ellie's section of the game, you'll have long-winded parts of gameplay, traveling from point A to B whilst picking up resources, opening more safes for some more tasty upgrades, and of course more silly deaths by yours truly.
Long way down.
I made up for it though, since I found the 12th workbench of the game, which gave me the In the Field trophy. They reach the fob and they are told that they both need to meet up with some guy called Isaac. But before that, we get to see some familiar faces. Should I just tell her now that she isn't going to finish her game? Nah, I'll leave her to it. We also bump into Nora, who doesn't really seem herself, since she has something to show the two, that being a bunch of bodies in body bags. Now, I'm guessing that these were taken from the TV station, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. Either way though, that is a lot of dead bodies, including this guy called Danny, who was sent out with Owen earlier on. Apparently, he died with a bullet in his stomach, which was shot by Owen himself. Clearly, there's more behind this supposed betrayal, but we still gotta go talk to Isaac, which the two of them do whilst keeping this Owen thing a secret. So who's this Isaac guy that you're probably wondering? Well, he likes to keep people locked up in cages. Okay, kind of weird, but let's not jump to any conclusions. Oh, he's currently torturing someone. Huh, maybe I spoke too soon. Now, the reason that he has called the both of them to him is because he wants to attack the island that belongs to the Scars, this time using all of their firepower since they previously failed. Hence why we saw a bunch of them moving supplies and equipment during Ellie's segment. Abby is only focused on finding Owen though, in which she pleads to be let go go so she can go find him, but Isaac stands by his decision and declines it. Although she may accept his decision at first, we all know that's not going to stop her from sneaking out. And of course, Manny has our back as he helps Abby to sneak out from under Isaac's watch. The two say their goodbyes as she heads off towards the aquarium, hoping to find Owen. She, of course, runs into more infected along the way. Screw you, by the way, Clicker. I did, however, get the survival training trophy for learning 25 player upgrades. Looks like we'll have to put them to good use since Abby gets ambushed by this big boy. Oh, wait, no, that's a woman. Good thing Abby ain't afraid to fight dirty. Or should I say, bite dirty. She does get pinned down and eventually knocked unconscious, which then takes us back only 4 months earlier to a very wintry looking aquarium. Ah, I do love Christmas. So after Abby has come to check on Owen, since he's kind of doing his own thing away from the wolf business, looks like him and Mel have had some sort of archery competition going on. A measly 10 points, that's no problem for Abby. So with a strong 12 points, beating Mel's score, go and put my name up on the board, Owen. You know I deserve it. The two of them head up to a very Christmassy looking room as they share a cup of something, whatever it is. I don't think Abby is fond of it.
The view is nice.
She informs Owen that she knows where Joel's brother is, hoping to find Joel in the process. This was basically the plan before all this shit happened with Joel and Ellie, as if we need to relive that moment again. Cutting back to a bruised up Abby, she gets prepped for a gruesome hanging. Luckily, before she gets her intestines spilled open, another girl gets dragged in and suffers an equal punishment. Oh, I could just hear her bones crunching. Oh, she gets her other arm saved by some straight arrows, piercing the 2 scars and then finally taking down the last one with some very good teamwork. After cutting Abby down, the 3 of them agree to work together to escape the horde of infected that are closing in on them. Oh, and also this bitch. Unfortunately for her, she underestimates Abby's strength as she takes her down with only her fists, finishing off with a very satisfying end. Abby carries the wounded girl with the support of the other and lays her down in one of these trailers, since she is in no condition to be going anywhere. Abby does help set her bone back into place. Please don't make me ever rehear that noise again. Knowing that these 2 are scars, called Yara and Lev, Abby feels like she has repaid the favour and leaves the 2 of them to fend for themselves. Back on track to the aquarium, and some luck goes our way as we find this awesome looking crossbow, helping even more with my stealthiness, but I also managed to pick up the Journeyman trophy for finding all of the training manuals in the game. Okay, now Abby is ready for some real action. We enter the aquarium and at first it looks very dark and deserted, but we end up finding Owen in a bad headspace. Turns out Owen had a scar at gunpoint ready to end his life, but seeing as he was old and tired, Owen just couldn't push himself to do it. Realizing that he was pretty much done with this war between the wolves and the scars, Danny had other plans in which Owen stopped him by shooting him, which explains everything that was said with Isaac earlier on. So instead, he wants to go to Santa Barbara in California so he can find any remaining fireflies, which means fixing up this boat. They get into a heated argument of what's right and what's wrong, and things change very quickly into a different sort of heated. Well, we gave Dina and Ellie their private time earlier, so let's give them theirs, shall we? Abby then has another nightmare, putting her back in the hospital, but this time she sees Lev and Yara strung up. Reasons for this I'll explain in a little bit. She decides to head back to them, finding Yara in a worse state than before, so her only option is to take her back to the aquarium since she saved Abby's life before, so it was only the right thing to do. The 3 of them return to find that Mel has also joined us, with some backup in the form of Alice, who scares the shit out of the 2 of them, but she calms down eventually. I guess it's lucky that the only doctor that we know magically just turns up, but unfortunately without some proper medical equipment they can't do anything about saving Yara. So Abby and Lev both head out towards the medical center in hopes to find some. Only problem is we need a much quicker way if we're going to get there and back in time. Don't worry though, Lev knows a way. What the hell? Ain't no way I'm crossing that. No wonder the scars are so good at traveling undetected. It's because they're in the effing sky. Slowly and very carefully they make it across the bridge, gladly with no problems. Oh come on, another one? And of course this one is a lot more dangerous. Making it almost all of the way, Abby loses her footing and falls, bringing Lev down with her, but luckily landing in a rooftop swimming pool. Yeah, don't worry Abby, you lay there for a minute, I don't blame you. Now making it across, the 2 make their way down the building, and because my exploration skills are top tier, I managed to find the last safe of the game. So I entered the correct combination and got the Safe Cracker trophy. Well, that's another set of collectibles done. We make it to the bottom and spot the medical center, protect her. So choosing to make Lev stay behind, since this is Abby's group, she persuades her way in since some of the soldiers were a bit unsure as to why she was there. She does eventually get found out, since Isaac knows that she has gone AWOL. She gets cuffed up, but Nora finds her and then releases her, since she knows that Abby is somewhat doing the right thing. Hearing of the lower levels possibly having the medical supplies that she needs, Nora slips us down there undetected. Now, you want to know a fun fact? This underground lab was where tests were being held and initially where the first set of cordyceps infections began. Oh, I pray there is nothing bad down here. Only a few infected as expected, but I do manage to find some supplies and then get the tools of the trade trophy for crafting one of every craft tool in the game. Abby finds the supplies she needs, but something else finds her. Abby, not gonna lie, you're pretty badass, but we are getting out of here now. So this is the Rat King. Really wished it looked more like a rat. Now, although this isn't the final boss, it definitely reeks of it, but I made sure that I was well equipped before the fight, hence the reason that I got that earlier trophy. So I yeeted many explosives and molotovs at it, loaded it with as many bullets as I had, and then with one last thrown explosive, I managed to put it down first time. Good job, Abby. Actually, no, good job me too. Seeing that Yara's arm has been treated too, with some relief coming from Abby's face, she then has another nightmare, but more like a dream, since this time she sees her dad, alive and happy. Now, the reasons for these visions is seeing Abby's growth as a person, going from a very cruel and revenge-hungry person to now someone who is willing to have a heart and to see past these people being more than just scars. So the better things that she has done for others has changed her outlook on this whole situation. Bumping into Mel, she hears Lev and Yara arguing since they have been invited to join Owen into going to Santa Barbara, along with Mel too, but she makes it very clear that if Abby goes, she doesn't. Mate, this whole love triangle shit is starting to get annoying. Long story short, Mel's a bitch and thinks that Abby is going to get these kids killed. Yara asks for help in finding Lev, but there are more important things on my mind. Hey, I can't not play fetch here. As a dog owner myself, it's rule number one. Just look at that cute face. Yara mentions that Lev has some concerns of going to Santa Barbara and runs off. They try to look for him, but since he doesn't want to leave his mum behind, he flees on a boat heading back to the Scar Islands, being the only working boat that they had. Abby and Yara now must head out to a nearby marina to find another, but along the way, they hear some sniper shots in the distance. Oh, hey Manny, funny seeing you here. It's a good thing we told Yara to keep hidden. That would have been awkward. Pinned down by the sniper, they manage to make it to cover as they get closer to this mysterious shooter. By they, I mean Abby, since Manny gets sniped right through the skull, and she luckily doesn't suffer the same fate. Who the hell is this shooter? Oh, it's Tommy. That explains the pinpoint aim. Good thing Yara is there to help Abby fight him off and sends him flying into the water. They both make it to the island and spot the Haven, their main village, but also Isaac's army coming in very quickly. Shit's about to hit the fan very soon. Upon entering their home, they see their mum laying dead on the floor, with a scared and frightened Lev in the corner, since talking wasn't helping the situation and there was nothing that he could do to resolve the problem. After reassuring him that it was all in self-defense, they now need to escape the island, but they run into more problems. Man, F you, Isaac. Abby stands her ground to protect Lev, and just before Isaac pulls the trigger, Yara manages to put a bullet in him, saving and allowing them to escape, unfortunately leading to the death of Yara. Now, although Isaac sucked as a person, I feel like he wasn't really in the game at all. Plus, the game actually never confirms his death either, but from other sources that I've read, he does apparently die later on from the blood loss. So now just the two of them left, they fight through the war of scars and wolves and manage to steal a horse, as they ride through the chaos of both factions fighting against one another, and also with Haven being completely engulfed in flames. They get knocked off horseback, so they must make it on foot, which they try to squeeze through this crumbling building as they get attacked by another Scar brute, this one being the meanest so far. But as we well know, Abby is just built different, and after a few bloody and gruesome encounters with him, she bests him with an arrow to the eye. Now, with nothing in their way, they find the last boat and escape. So by this point, both stories catch up to each other, since Abby returns to find Mel and Owen's bodies from the aftermath of Ellie's actions, causing her to break down and throw up. Lev picks up Ellie's map that she dropped earlier, and unfortunately, Ellie's location is marked very clearly for Abby to see. So they make their way there, as seen earlier. With the story coming around full circle, we now see the events of Ellie and Abby's confrontation. Shit, man, not Tommy too. So this next part really surprised me, where the game actually has you take control of Abby to face Ellie, using stealth to sneak around to get the jump from behind, which you have to do a couple of times. The third time was a little bit tougher, but Abby gets the best of her. After Dina rushes in to help Ellie, which doesn't work as she gets an arrow to the back by Lev, Ellie pleads to Abby to let her live, since, you know, she's pregnant. pregnant. To be honest, Abby probably would have done it, but having Lev there made Abby see past the hate and revenge and chooses to leave them both, warning Ellie to never come looking for her again. The game flashes forward some years ahead to see this little cute guy. Looks like Ellie and Dina have been raising this little guy on this ranch. So Ellie decides to do some of the more physical jobs, that meaning herding the sheep. Hey, especially this little guy. Game, no, we don't want to see that. Causing Ellie to have a nightmare, she's found screaming since after all this time, she is still really suffering from what's happened with Joel. The next day comes as Ellie arrives home with some food, only to see that Tommy... Wait, what? I literally saw you get shot on the head. Fine, I won't ask any questions, you do you, game. Turns out he only lost his eye, so he got very lucky. He's arrived to tell Ellie that there was a possible sighting of a woman traveling with a kid with scars in California. Tommy, man, just let it go. See, Dina agrees with me. Tommy leaves feeling angered since he thinks that Ellie has just given up, but I think after all the blood and deaths that's occurred, it's safe to let each other go their own paths. We then flash all the way back to the night before Joel's death, during the party where Dina had a little bit too much to drink, ending in them both kissing, which Seth didn't like, causing Joel to step in to try to resolve things. As clearly shown, Ellie still doesn't want anything to do with Joel, so she storms off. Dina finds Ellie packing her belongings since she just can't let this Abby stuff go, so she must finish it. Okay, by this point, it just gets exhausting, man. Even for Dina, who makes it very clear that if Ellie leaves, she won't be here when or if she gets back. This isn't enough to sway her decision, so she heads off. With many people, including myself, thinking that the game was finished by now, nope, we are back to Abby and Lev as they are still trying to track down these rumored fireflies. Hidden behind this bookcase, they find some sort of underground hideout, previously occupied by some fireflies who are long gone. They get a radio working and at first they get no responses from the multiple signals that they try, but eventually they hear a man's voice come through. She mentions her full name, which sparks an interest from the man, since he actually knew Abby's father. So being able to trust who she is, this gives him the confidence to reveal a nearby location for them to come pick the two up. Unfortunately, they get ambushed by a group of men, with Lev getting knocked the F out. With that being the final time you play as Abby, we switch over to Ellie, searching through the boat that Abby and Lev arrived in, seeing as they left the whereabouts of where they were heading, so she jumps straight on their trail. As we continue on, Ellie gets caught in this trap, put there by the same people that captured Abby and Lev. These guys are called Rattlers, basically a group that captures people and puts them to work under their watch. Ellie teases them by running her mouth, which annoys the smaller guy, pissing him off, so he tries to have a bit of fun with Ellie and the strung up clicker. That doesn't work out so well for him. She shoots at the bigger bloke and demands to know of Abby's location, in which he abides and tells Ellie, but asking for his life to be spared... Damn, Ellie, that's cold. That submachine gun looks quite nice. I guess I'll keep that. Means I get the high caliber trophy for collecting all of the weapons in the game. Nice. We reach their base where there are many more slaves being escorted, ready to be put to work. So hopefully Abby is in there somewhere. Making it deeper into the compound, we find some prisoners locked up, which they help Ellie fend off this sneaky rattler, before then letting them free to cause some more chaos, as shown by the fire engulfed buildings. Well, that was pretty quick. Being told that Abby tried to escape and that she was taken to the pillars, whatever that means. Oh shit, meaning there are literally pillars with them tied up as a punishment. Abby must have been like this for a while, as she is almost unrecognizable. Just look how skinny she's looking. Ellie ends up cutting Abby down, and then feeling weak from the starvation, she sets Lev free and heads down to these two boats, just coincidentally waiting for them. Now, surely, after all of this time and all of the shit that both of them have been through, let's just call it even, eh? Abby thinks so, but Ellie is still revenge hungry as she holds a knife to Lev's throat, threatening Abby that she will do it if she doesn't fight back. It's a very long-winded and slow fight since both their bodies are tired, hurt and wore down from the constant fighting. Ellie eventually gets the upper hand on Abby, but not without leaving a mark after biting off two of her fingers. She squeezes the last little bit of life from Abby's body, but looking at her facial expression, I don't think she really wants this. She then sees a vision of Joel, which pretty much causes her to make the right decision by letting Abby go, finally accepting that this isn't the right way to end it. She sits there in absolute tears as we see Abby and Lev drive off to finally end this war between the two. Some time passes as Ellie returns back to the ranch, but as expected, there are no signs of Dina or the kid. With the house being completely empty, one of the rooms still occupies all of Ellie's belongings, including her guitar, which she sits down to play. The game cuts back to the same evening after the party fight, where Joel and Ellie have a deep conversation about what happened earlier. Noticing that Ellie is quite fond of Dina, Joel encourages Ellie to follow her feelings, then bringing up the whole hospital incident, but this time in a more frustrating manner, instead of an angry argument. He admits to her that if he had the choice to go back to that specific moment, that he would have done exactly exactly the same thing all over again. Not knowing if she could ever forgive him, she agrees to at least try, this being the first time since the incident that she's been wanting him back into her life. I'll admit, this did bring some tears to my eyes since they didn't really get a chance to amend things. Present day Ellie leaves her guitar, the rest of her stuff, and maybe her previous life behind as she heads off to start her new one. With that, rolling the credits, ending the story of The Last of Us Part 2, and also unlocking the trophy, what I had to do. So with 18 trophies checked off, all I had left was the 2 difficulty runs, and then the rest of the clear up for any collectibles that I missed. But first, I have no return to do. What's no return, may you ask?
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
It's a fun, engaging, and exciting... I mean a grindy and painful road-like mode where you play as any of the 10 characters, taking on encounters that once completing 5 in a row, you'll be met with a randomized boss that must be killed to complete the run. Failing to do that will end the run. Now, apart from that, that's pretty much all the mode consists of, and although it's unique, I'll give it that, it does get very tedious very quickly. But if there are trophies to be earned, then I'm here for it. So let's get to them. So to start off nice and easy, for each level that you do, you receive a rank depending on how fast and efficient you were. So very quickly, I got an S rank, which gave me the True Strength trophy. Then I got the Mixed Bag trophy for getting kills with 5 different weapons in an assault encounter. These do include throwables and melee attacks along with guns too. Next up was the Become the Hunter trophy for killing 12 enemies in the timed encounter hunted. So make sure you're pretty quick with the kills. Then I had the Got Your Back trophy, which meant in the encounter mode holdout, I had to keep Yara's health above 70%. Then I got the Risk Taker trophy for completing 5 gambits in a single run. These are optional challenges that reward you upon completion. So once I did the 5th one, the trophy popped. In the encounter capture, I got the Burglar trophy by opening the safe without alerting and killing anyone. So then at this point, I probably put at least 10 hours into this mode, and after multiple failed attempts on the 8th and final boss, the bastard that is the Rat King, I killed him and his little sidekick, which unlocks the Good Riddance trophy for beating all the bosses. Now remember those challenges I mentioned earlier? So each character has anywhere from 3 to 5 challenges, and there are 2 trophies for completing all of Ellie and Abby aligned characters. You can do more than 1 challenge per run, but it still takes a while to complete everything. Firstly, Abby's side was a lot easier to do, so I completed the last challenge, which unlocked the Team Abby one. Then about 40 minutes later, I completed Ellie's last challenge, which unlocked Team Ellie. Next up was the trophy modded for completing an encounter with each mod. There are 26 in total, which I had a list up and just checked them off as I went. After that, I had to complete a run with each character. Pretty sure I died as Tommy like 5 times. Mate, imagine not knowing how to dodge. So after killing the bloater, I got the Roll Call trophy. Now onto the final 2, and not gonna lie, I almost gave up on these last 2. All I'll say is daily run. Now, the May Your Survival Be Long trophy is easy enough to get, but having to complete a daily run on granted difficulty tested my will to live. As I said, I almost gave up on it. Imagine experiencing deaths like this day in and day out and having to wait hours and hours to even get in another attempt, just to die within the first encounter. In the end though, I got Abby as my character. Okay, the confidence has gone up. A great run of encounters, which I annihilated every single one of them with ease. Okay, this is it. This is the run. Who was my final boss, I was wondering? The effing Rat King. Are you serious? Mate, any difficulty means he one-shots me. It's bringing back some bad memories. I'd never been so focused for anything in my life. Running out of throwables and ammo, it came down to the wire. But after already besting the Rat King twice already, Abby hit the trifecta and put him down for the final time, reviving my hope in life and finally popping the May Your Death Be Swift trophy. Please, never ever ever again.
Fuck off!
With that nightmare over, now on to the next. But I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone to make it easier. So I decided to tackle one of the difficulty trophies, that being the permadeath mode. This is a setting that you can set for either chapters, acts, or the entire game, where if you die, you restart from whichever setting you applied. And because I value my time and sanity, I chose the easiest one, since I wanted to smash out the rest of the collectible trophies at the same time. Also, make sure you do this run on very light plus. So to start things off, I found my very last workbench of the game, which gave me the prepared for the worst trophy. Then further on, I applied my final weapon upgrade, which unlocked the arms master trophy. Shortly after that, I got the survival expert trophy for unlocking all player upgrades. Then lastly, having both the trading cards and coins to collect, I grabbed every single one of them, giving me the numismatist trophy for Abby's collectibles, and then the master set trophy for all of Ellie's. Right, with all those gold trophies done, I was then able to finish off the story for a second time with only 4 deaths, which I think is not that bad. This then gave me the You Can't Stop This trophy. Now, along with the grounded trophy, I do have 2 other trophies to get, but I'll leave them till last. It will make sense later. So, grounded mode. Is it hard? Yes. Painful? Maybe. Did I lose my shit playing this? Absolutely. But I do love a good challenge though. So this mode pretty much punishes you for anything, like overuse on ammo, since it is very rare to find. Enemies can kill you within 2 shots. And to make it even more exciting, you have no HUD at all, meaning you have no way of seeing how much health you're on, and you also have no listening ability. So I'm pretty much on my own without any hand-holding from the game. However, there is one small thing that I did to make the run a little bit easier for myself. So instead of starting a fresh run, I loaded up a new game plus from my very first playthrough on grounded difficulty. Then I'll also have all my weapons and resources, so I've already got a head start. Other than that, the run is pretty much still the same. So after many deaths and restarts, Ellie plays her final guitar note as we finish the game for a 3rd and final time and obtain the Dig to Graves trophy. With the hardest part of the platinum done, I've left a personal favourite trophy till last. During my collectible run, I purposely left this tiny precursor orb, which then this gave me the Relic of the Sages trophy once I picked it up. Cheeky little Jack and Daxter Easter egg there for you. Then shortly after that, I unlocked the Archivist trophy for finding all the artifacts in the game. Then finally having every last one of them, the platinum trophy was obtained. Just like that, part 1 and 2's games are done and platinumed. Now, there is probably going to be a 3rd game in the future, so whenever that does get released, I will jump straight into that platinum playthrough. Now, I will say there are some massive improvements to the gameplay itself, such as the weapon choice and customization. The game looked impressively better than the first, and although you played as multiple characters, their playstyles never felt too stale or too boring. Now, the story itself, yes, it did have some good and bad moments, but I think all the other good qualities the game had definitely made up for it. In the terms of the platinum, although it was 10 times harder than the first, the challenges and difficulty behind the trophies were well worth it, even if some of them did test my patience. Now, don't forget, if you did enjoy this platinum playthrough, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Plus, check out some of the other videos on here. I can't wait to start smashing out some more platinums this year, so stay tuned for more to come. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.